Welcome to Books in Brief.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into some of the most challenging and transformative material we've ever covered.
I'd agree with that.
It's a radical look at human consciousness found in the collected writings of Anthony De Mello, which were compiled and edited by J. Francis Stroud in the book Awareness: The Perils and Opportunities of Reality.
And if you are looking for a shortcut to, deep, foundational, psychological, and spiritual insight, this is basically your map. The entire mission of De Mello it's startlingly simple, but at the same time, incredibly difficult.
Right.
He claims that true spirituality is just synonymous with waking up. His argument is that most of us are born, live, and then die completely asleep. We're just functioning on autopilot, totally unaware of the reality around us.
And this is where the profound paradox lands, right away. De Mello insists, and he's basing this on the wisdom of all the great mystics, that fundamentally, all is well.
All is well.
All is well. There's this deep underlying harmony, but the sleeping person, well, they can never see this. Instead, their whole life is experienced as a kind of nightmare, just a constant cycle of worry and craving and disappointment.
So we really have to unpack that. If reality is intrinsically whole and marvelous, why do we actively reject it? Why are we clinging to the nightmare?
Well, De Mello suggests it's because the state of being asleep has become incredibly comfortable and very self-important.
Ah, okay.
Exactly. It's the inertia of identity. He tells this fantastic sort of humorous story about a father who knocks on his son's door. The son, Jamie, is 45 years old, and the father's yelling, "Get up, you have to go to school."
A 45-year-old.
45. And Jamie protests. He lists all the reasons he hates school. And the father just replies, "Well, you must go for 3 reasons. First, it is your duty. Second, because you are 45 years old. And third, because you are the headmaster."
That's painful because it's so true. We reach adulthood, we get these high-status labels, we become the headmaster. But internally, we're still that protesting child just kicking and screaming, desperate not to face the world.
We become too big to be asleep, yet that's exactly what we are.
And that leads us to the critical reason why we stay in bed.
Yep, it does. It's the realization that when we seek help, we don't really want a cure. We want relief.
Okay, what's the difference?
We bring our broken toys, the failed relationship, the lost job, the bruised ego, and we ask the teacher or the therapist to fix them for us. Or, even better, give us a new, shinier toy.
So the true cure, which is waking up and seeing reality as it is, that's painful because it means shattering those treasured toys.
It's worse than painful. He says it's profoundly irritating. It is irritating to have your worldview dismantled. A real cure demands responsibility. And De Mello suggests that wise teachers, they often don't even try to force awareness on people because they know the irritation will just cause the student to retreat deeper into sleep. You have to want the truth more than you want your comfort.
Speaking of comfort, De Mello takes aim at one of our most fundamental comfort blankets.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that we are supported by others. He challenges this belief that external help is even real, claiming that, in the deepest sense, we only ever truly help ourselves.
And he backs this up with an anecdote about a religious sister in a therapy group. She's complaining bitterly that her superior doesn't support her. So they do this role-playing exercise where the superior is told to just repeat negative, objective facts about the sister's performance.
Okay, so she's getting purely negative feedback.
Purely negative. But afterwards, the sister reports feeling great. Why?
She must have just invented a reality in her head where the superior was impressed, no matter what was actually said.
Precisely. She was only feeling great because she believed the superior was pleased with her. She completely ignored the stated facts. Most of what we feel, that sense of being loved or supported or even harmed, it's an internal conjuring act.
Wow.
We manufacture it in our heads and then project it out onto the world. And that makes it almost impossible to tell reality from illusion.
That realization is a perfect bridge to the next theme, because if our feeling of support is an illusion, that makes me wonder how much of what we call love is also just something we invent.
De Mello is. He's brutal on this point. He states, you are never in love with a person. You are in love with your prejudiced and hopeful idea of that person.
Ouch.
Yeah. That's why when people fall out of love, it's not because the other person changed. It's because the idea they were carrying around in their head finally clashed too hard with reality.
That is, it feels deeply cynical, but I can absolutely see the truth in it. It suggests we don't really trust people. We just trust our own judgment about them.
Exactly. And this self-focus, it extends way beyond love into things that seem selfless. De Mello claims almost all actions, even acts of great charity, are rooted in some form of self-interest.
He breaks selfishness down into three types, right?
Yes, three types. The first is obvious: the pleasure of pleasing yourself. You want a cookie, you take the cookie. Simple.
Right.
The second is what he calls refined selfishness, the pleasure of pleasing others.
Ah, now that's the one we all take pride in. The
Yeah.
person who volunteers every weekend or is constantly trying to make everyone else happy.
Yes. But De Mello compares it to evolving tastes. It's like you moved from the cheap gratification of Coca-Cola to appreciating the complex beauty of a symphony. Your behavior is better, sure, more refined, but the fundamental drive is still the pursuit of your own pleasure. You're still just chasing a good feeling.
So if I volunteer at a soup kitchen, not because I care about poverty, but because I want to feel like a good person,
Yeah.
that's refined selfishness. It's still about my internal state.
It absolutely is. And then there's the third, which he calls the worst kind, doing something good purely to avoid a bad feeling.
And it sounds like performing under duress.
It is. He gives the example of a priest who meets with a difficult parishioner he actively hates. He does this not out of love, but because he doesn't have the strength to say no, and he wants to avoid the bad feeling of self-reproach.
Or avoid being seen as an uncharitable priest.
Exactly. He's just preserving the idea of himself.
This has to challenge our idea of heroism, too.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just cynicism to argue that the soldier who falls on a grenade is acting out of self-interest? Isn't there genuine sacrifice there?
De Mello is just uncompromising here. He says we have to look for the underlying need. In those extreme cases, the act might be driven by the unbearable thought of being a coward,
Or the need for eternal life?
or the need for eternal life, or the validation of being remembered as a hero. He's not condemning the actions themselves, but he's pointing out that the self will often take the longest, most complicated route to get what it wants. It's almost never a pure, selfless act.
So if we strip away this veneer of our supposed moral superiority, what is actually left?
The most wonderful, liberating truth that you are no better than anybody else. The difference between you and someone who commits a crime is often just luck.
Luck.
Luck in your conditioning, luck in your environment, luck in what actions you did or did not commit.
So that makes the vanity of the Pharisee, the one who thanked God he wasn't like other men. It makes him not evil, but profoundly stupid.
Precisely. The Pharisee was stupid because he failed to see that his good actions were merely fortunate. He confused his behavior with his fundamental nature. When you can see your own self-interest driving every beautiful thing you do, you lose the basis for vanity. And that, for De Mello, is liberation.
And if vanity is the problem, then we have to ask, what exactly are we being vain about? Which takes us right to the core of the false self, confusing the I with the me.
Yes, the me is everything you collect. Your job title, your bank account, your opinions, your name. The I is the conscious essence that just observes the me. The problem is we identify so fiercely with the me that we forget the I even exists.
He really pushes us to look at how fluid the melly is. Right. I mean, are you your body? No, your cells are constantly being replaced like the water flowing over Niagara Falls. Are you your thoughts? They shift every second. Are you your label?
And the labels are probably the most dangerous trap. He tells the story of Paddy in Belfast, who's asked if he's Catholic or Protestant. He says, I'm a Jew, and the guy says, well, you must be the luckiest Arab in Belfast.
Right, it just shows the arbitrary badness of it all.
It's perfect. We vote a certain way, we root for a team, we take on a profession, just because it's what we've been told we are.
So these labels become filters. And De Mello argues our entire thinking process, our concepts, they're actually huge barriers to reality.
Huge barriers. Concepts are great for science, for building bridges, but they stop us from seeing the immediate truth. He says they have three core flaws. First, they are universal, not unique.
Can you give us an example? That sounds a little abstract.
Sure. Imagine you teach a child the word sparrow. From that moment on, they stop seeing the unique, particular little bird hopping on the lawn. They just see the concept of sparrow. The label replaces the reality.
So we stop seeing this unique person or this unique moment, and we only see the concept of my boss or my wife or another traffic jam.
Exactly. The second flaw is that concepts are static, not flowing. Reality is in constant dynamic flux. The river is always moving. But a concept is frozen. It's like trying to jam a hurricane into a cigar box. It just doesn't fit.
Okay. And the third flaw?
The third flaw is that concepts are fragmenting, not whole. We cut reality up into pieces to make sense of it, a desk, a chair, a wall, but the universe is one seamless whole. It's like if you found a tail, you'd have the concept of tail, but you'd have no real understanding of animal.
Which leads to his most profound statement on this.
It does. He says the final barrier to the vision of God is the concept of God. If you are clinging to a definition, any definition, you're clinging to a fragment, not the whole truth.
That's the ultimate shedding of the ego, isn't it?
Yeah.
So once we realize the melee is just constructed of these fluid concepts and illusions, what's the practical path forward? How do we start shedding the labels?
De Mello says there is only one necessary action: self-observation. And this isn't navel-gazing or self-absorption. It's watching everything happening inside and around you as if it were happening to someone else.
You become a detached witness.
Exactly. And this leads to immediate disidentification. You start to realize you are not your emotions. You are not your depression. You are currently experiencing depression. You are the sky, and the anxiety or the joy, they're just clouds passing through.
And the key instruction here is totally counterintuitive, isn't it? It's
Yes.
Don't try to fix things.
Yes. But wait, if I see I'm angry, my first instinct is to immediately try to stop being angry or distract myself somehow.
That, he says, is the mistake.
Whoa.
We're always so busy trying to fix things we don't understand. De Mello insists that emotions, compulsions, negative thoughts, they need to be understood, not forced away.
So if you really watch them and understand them without interfering.
They change spontaneously because the mechanism that drives them needs your attention and your identification with them to function.
Yeah.
If you just watch, it runs out of fuel.
So if I'm anxious about presentation, I shouldn't try to suppress it. I should just sit with the anxiety and watch it. See where it hurts, what it fears, where it lives in my body.
Exactly. And when you watch it long enough, you realize it's just a temporary program. It's not your eternal self. Every negative feeling, gloominess, disappointment, anger, is an opportunity for this awareness.
And if you have a negative feeling toward anyone, De Mello says you are the one living in an illusion. Something in you needs to change.
That just shifts the blame entirely. If someone cuts me off in traffic and I get angry, the problem isn't the other driver. The problem is my addiction to the idea that I should be moving quickly or that I deserve respect.
And he drills down even further into anger. He says it always stems from a deeper fear, the fear of losing something you identify with. Your status, your time, your control, your need for approval.
If you can trace the anger back to the fear.
You realize the world is fine. The one who has to shift is you.
This sounds like a recipe for what he calls uncaused happiness.
It is. Because De Mello sees happiness not as something you achieve, but as our natural state. It's the state of children before society pollutes them with expectations and comparisons. You don't find happiness, you just drop the illusions and the cravings and the addictions that are obscuring it.
And society is very, very good at providing the drug of those addictions.
Oh, absolutely. The drug of approval, attention, success, prestige. We get a little taste of this external validation, and then we spend our whole lives dependent on the dealer society for our next fix.
And the awakened person.
The awakened person is someone who dances to the tune of the music that springs up from within. They are completely free from that crippling need for what other people think. When you're no longer controlled by the need for the drug of attention, you are finally free.
And we have to emphasize, this transition requires moving from just intellectual knowledge to lived awareness. His examples here are fantastic for driving that point home.
Right. He talks about the priest who was a chain smoker. He knew all the health risks. He had all the information, the knowledge. But he only quit when he saw the lung patches on his own x-ray.
When he tasted and felt the truth of his mortality.
Yes. Knowledge is inert. Awareness is the catalyst for spontaneous change. You don't need to be pushed. You just need insight.
And once that awareness is switched on, the change happens almost effortlessly. It's not about moral effort. It's about seeing the truth so clearly that the lie just can't survive anymore.
That's the highest form of freedom. You stop identifying with your opinions, your problems, your achievements. You just are.
So we want to leave you with one final, very profound exercise that De Mello suggests for jump-starting this awareness right now, no matter what problems you think you're facing.
Take a moment and really vividly imagine yourself lying dead in your coffin. Think about it. The posture, the silence, the finality of it. And now, from that dead perspective, look at your current problems.
The financial anxiety, the worry about a meeting tomorrow, the criticism you got yesterday.
The ambition you were driving so hard toward.
It instantly makes those problems seem, well, worthless. They have no power from that ultimate perspective.
That's the key. De Mello says, you are not truly living until it doesn't matter a tinker's damn to you whether you live or die. When you are ready to lose your life, to lose that false self that depends on all those illusions, that's when you finally find the courage to live it fully.
That radical, detached perspective is the greatest relief from the conditioned nightmare of our daily lives.
It really is.
That is a challenging and I think a very necessary thought to end on. It gives us all something truly powerful to chew on as we navigate our daily routines.
It certainly does. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this brief exploration of Anthony De Mello's incredible book, Awareness, The Perils and Opportunities of Reality, feel free to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future episodes. New book insights are coming soon. See you next time.